Hi, I'm Sean.
I'm Rhonda.
Let's talk about differences in the male-female brain. We're going to look at this in a
We got
series.
this information from Dr. Carolyn Leaf's book, Who Switched Off Your Brain? Solving the Mystery of He Said, She Said.
Let's look at our male-female differences in our brain when it comes to our viewpoint. For a man, he has more of a big picture mentality.
So he's going to engage both sides of the brain and process the information from big picture to detail, and then detail is focused as internal self-talk.
Men typically look at things more as a single task that they're accomplishing.
So they engage in convergent focused talk. It's all going toward one point in the conversation.
And men typically are going to switch gears more easily than a woman.
So for him, it could be a race to a conclusion. But a woman can help her husband because when she's presenting the details, well, in a way that he's more likely to receive, she can help him with some things he might overlook otherwise.
Yeah. So let's look at a woman. She is typically more detail oriented.
But she's more balanced in big picture to detail and detail to big picture because she can switch back and forth between the sides of the brain more easily.
She can multitask verbally.
She engages in divergent crosstalk. So she may talk and she may start here and then spread out to all these different directions.
So a woman can get stuck in the back and forth details when thinking negatively.
But her husband can help her with this by bringing focus to the conversation and pulling it all together to closure. So Dr. Leaf says in her book, this process may be frustrating and seem unnecessary to a man, yet it's necessary for the woman as she processes information. Though this creates confidence and peace for her, it can create unease and confusion for him until he appreciates the difference and her need for it.
Since a man works from detail to conclusion to formulate solutions, he may feel she's going round and round with no end in sight. Neither is correct and the other wrong. As they both work together, they learn to compromise to complete one another.
Both need the details and big picture that each contributes. He may have a tendency in his race to a conclusion to overlook some excellent options she brings to the table through the many details.
She has a tendency to get stuck in the back and forth details, especially when thinking negatively, since the part of the brain responsible for switching between thoughts is larger in the female.
Since this part in the male is smaller, he more easily switches gears and can help bring focus to the conversation to pull it all together to closure due to having fewer circuits in that area of the brain controlling emotion. It's good to see the wisdom of both perspectives.
Dr. Carolyn Leaf advises to lean on the female attention to details and gather as much information from as many perspectives as possible, and then embrace the male approach that leads to a resolute decision. Each tendency improves the benefits of the other.
This is great. We read so much out of her book, but it's great. So go back and look over this. Basically, a man and a woman look like they're so opposite, but they actually complement each other. So what do we do with his big picture and her details?
You know, so many times these are the areas where there's conflict in how we relate to each other because our spouse is seeing things through a little different lens than we are. And we can get in conflict over that, but what if we understand, I only see part of the picture, my spouse sees the other part of the picture.
You know, I think so many times men can feel challenged with the woman and feel like, well, she's so stuck into the here and now. And he's looking at a bigger, maybe even a down the road picture. Of course, these roles can change up. But the fact is, she may be looking at the relationship, everybody operating smoothly as we travel from here to there. But he may be looking at us traveling from here to there. But yet, they both need to work together. One doesn't need to minimize the other.
You know, we don't need to be invalidating our partner's perspective. We need to see that our partner has a valid way of seeing that and find where it fits into the whole scheme of things.
Right, because if he invalidates the details that create and make his big picture actually move, and she's invalidating his big picture that make her details make sense, then they really don't get anywhere because they're kind of breaking down what needs to come together to help them go smoothly forward.
We both have valuable roles and a place in the marriage relationship, and our marriage needs the contribution of both he
Right.
plus she.
And so when we're talking about these things and maybe we're clashing, we might want to ask our spouse, what are you seeing? How do you think these things, what we both are seeing, fit together?
That's good.
What can we do to make these blend instead of saying it's his way or her
Right,
ways?
right.
What if it's a combination of the two?
God put us together in our marriage to have the contribution of both, and we need to find that value and see how God intended he plus she to equal we.